J. Roos Theory. I was supposed to go on a little like 5 minutes earlier. Had some technical difficulties again, but I'm in the building. I'm in the building like the ceiling. You know what I mean? I got to talk about the Clark Wardley fight. Man, man, I'm gonna wait for you guys to come in though before I start breaking down what happened. So glad I went live for that. Had 1,000 plus people in the chat at one point. You know, the minute the main event came, it's like everybody jumped on. So I appreciated that. The Blue Baron, the militant man with the marvelous plan. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Just a second. Yeah, so what's going on, man? Just have to talk about that great fight that we got yesterday. Much better than I even thought myself. We got us a good fight yesterday. That fight was crazy. Instant classic. Um, I watched the interview with well, both guys, but mainly Wardley was talking about he. Well, let me wait for some more people to come in. Like I said before I get started. Best fight I've seen since Fury versus Wilder 3. Shoot, I can't argue that point, man. That was instant classic, man. Instant. I mean, that was way better than anybody could have hoped for. You know, maybe let me just go ahead and get started. But maybe Frazier Clark is one of those guys that fights up to the level of his competition, you know. Maybe we were all saying, oh, we weren't impressed with his pro fights, but maybe just because the competition wasn't there, he wasn't very motivated. That happens a lot of the time. So, because I never seen Frazier Clark fight like that. I saw the interview that Wardley did after the fight, and he said that he thought he was a bit frustrated with Clark spitting out his mouthpiece. He said that's a veteran trick, and I guess he's gonna learn from that. So he thought that Clark. I mentioned that during the commentary. I was like, I don't know if he's spitting his mouth piece out on purpose to get a rest, or as they say in the UK, gum shield. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but it was definitely giving him a rest. And Clark got my respect. Yeah, absolutely. He has mine too. It looks like the heavyweight division is in good hands with the next crop of heavyweights coming up because them dudes could take a punch. And it seemed like even when Clark went down, it looked more like maybe from. I know he got hurt with a punch, but he looked like he was exhausted more than anything. The way he was looking around and stuff like that. And at the end of the fight, he just collapsed. Boxing Wave was at the fight, and he thought Clark won, but he said he can kind of judge a fight better when he's doing it over screen than in person. Because you know, in person you get kind of caught up in the moment in the crowd, and you're not watching it as closely, and it looks different from the crowd than it looks watching it on screen. But he thought that Wardley was more tired, so I'm guessing he didn't see Clark collapse at the end, like, and had to be lifted up and stuff out of the corner. I think if he had seen that, he might have a little different perspective. You know, I had Wardley's just winning by a little bit, but I was happy with a draw. I said it could be a draw once I saw how it was going, but I think everybody had picked Wardley to win that fight, and Clark was like, I got something to say about this. But I thought Wardley looked gassed at one point. Yeah, I thought they both did. I thought they both did, but I thought more so Clark at the end. Emmanuel Broderick's in the building. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for tuning in. I feel like what does he say? I feel like if it wasn't for the knockdown, I feel like if it wasn't for the knockdown, they would have given the decision to Clarke. Yeah, and didn't they take a point from Clarke too from the for the low blow or something? Wardley's face was all messed up at the end of the fight, and he said he didn't feel, he felt fine. He's saying his face looks more beat up than how he feels. He said he want, maybe he would rematch him. He didn't sound too eager to get a rematch with Clarke. So, I'm sure they will fight again because it was such a great fight. You don't often see heavyweight fights like that because heavyweights punch so hard. Guys don't often stand up to blows like that. Usually one guy caves in. But I thought this fight right here is kind of making the heavyweight division in America look kind of subpar because look at the effort that Wardley and Clarke put on with, I'm sure, millions of people watching. And then we got people like Jared Anderson having breakdowns and Ruiz not having fights and Deontay Wilder smoking I whatever what is it, ayahuasca. So it's just making the American boxing scene look kind of weak. Weak. I mean, Wardley and Clarke went in there like two warriors and handled their business. And Americans are sitting up here doing everything that they shouldn't be doing. They both must feel terrible today. Now the adrenaline wore off. Yeah, I can imagine they both got some migraines, and I'm pretty sure Wardley probably can't even feel his nose at this point. It's probably just numb. He's probably like, hey, hey. And when your nose is tweaking, it's kind of hard to taste your food. Somehow the nose and throat are connected. That's why when you have a cold, you can't really taste your food. So, like I said, though, going into the fight, he always has that like cut on the bridge of his nose. So, you know, that might be a problem down the road. But I guess they needed Stitch. Where's Stitch when you need him? But I'm guessing Stitch could fix that cut. I know he's good with the eyes and everything, but I don't know if I've ever seen him fix a cut on the nose. But I guess a cut isn't a cut, but he definitely knows what he's doing. I saw an old fight the other day. He was in the corner. I was like, man, Stitch has been in the game for many years, and I hear he's gonna be in Creed 4. I think he's in all the Creed movies. No offense, but I think American heavyweights have been poor for a long time now. Hey, you're right. They have been. Like, shoot, what's the last great American heavyweight that we've had? Oh, wow, that's a great point. Might have to take it back to the let's see, maybe to the what, 90s maybe? Yeah, we might have to go back to the 90s on that one. That is a great point. Why is that? I always equate it to too much luxury. The luxurious lifestyle doesn't make for a tough fight or a tough fighter. Because if everything's easy for you, then when you get in the ring and things get tough, what's going to motivate you to get back up on your feet? It's a microwave society, too. People want everything fast, and boxing takes years of training and discipline, and yeah, the rabbit hole goes deep, don't it? But that fight was one of the best fights I've ever seen. I put it up there right with the Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield trilogy. I think UFC has played a part. You think the UFC's played a part? Oh, and the heavyweights going over to the UFC is what you're saying? Could be. I never thought of that. Could be. I personally would never uh, get in a sport like the UFC because I'm pretty sure getting kicked in the face does not feel good. I take boxing any day over getting kicked in the face. Or taking a knee to the face. That's probably even worse. Yeah, John Jones, he's holding it down for us in the UFC, John Jones. I wonder how he would do in boxing because he's got that long reach. But he was probably thinking about it till he saw what happened to Francis Ngannou. And now he's probably like, nah, I think I'll just stick with the MMA. I know years ago, like 2017, when he first saw AJ, he said he would fight anybody. He said, except that guy. So I don't think he'll be crossing over. And there's no need for him to cross over. He's dominating his sport. Definitely, boxing is much better to watch, I think. Absolutely. I'd rather. In fact, I've heard Dana White talk because he comes from a boxing background and he doesn't like all that grappling stuff. You know, most people watch the UFC to see strikes and kicks. We don't like all that grappling, and because half the time the crowd doesn't know what's going on when they're doing those maneuvers and techniques. Oh yeah, plus the money's terrible in the UFC. Yeah, the money's horrific over there, man. Dana White is raking it in, and not the fighter so much. That's crazy to me how you can put in all that work, get your body damaged, and the guy that's making the fights makes more than you. One of the reasons why I don't like the UFC is too much wrestling on the ground and barely any stand up. I don't like them either. Um, I think that's why Ronda Rousey ran into trouble against Holly Holm because she was used to all them arm bars, and Holly Holm put them fists on her, and she didn't know what to do. Holly Holm came from a boxing background, and she let Ronda Rousey know what it was. She was like, "No arm bars for you tonight, Ronda. Not against me." Holly Holm put it down on her. Apparently, John Jones is only worth 5 million, which is crazy. Man, 5 million, that's it? Goodness gracious. Your boy in the bunker. Shout out to you, man. Y'all go subscribe to your boy in the bunker. I like his platform. He's got a lot of good content, knows the sport, and I just like he's one of the channels that I watch a lot. You know him, Counterpunch Boxing News, Boxing on the Edge, Andrew Tucker World, Showbiz the Adult, Boxing Wave, Mr. Boxing Today too. You know, DT3, the Boom Man. These are some great platforms. Nobody likes the ground game except people who do jujitsu. Yeah, nobody wants to see all that. And then he puts his arm over here, and then he's maneuvering like, well, I don't understand all that. And boxing fights are longer, which is why I like boxing. Yeah, that too. Your boy in the bunker says, thanks, brother. Oh, no, man. Thanks to you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Much love. Like I said, y'all go subscribe to your boy in the bunker. He's a new channel just starting out, but I have a feeling he's going to blow up real fast. The Blue Baron says, I can't wait for the rematch. Yeah, me too. It didn't sound like Wardley was for obvious reasons, sounds like he wasn't too eager on a rematch, but he said he's going right back to the gym in about a week, you know, so he's hungry to stay fit, but I can imagine 12 rounds of heavy punches from a heavyweight is something that you don't look forward to too much. I'm sure he'll work on that defense a little bit more. Both guys need to work on their defense. And boxing has more enjoyable fighters to watch. Yeah, I agree with that too. Your boy in the bunker. That's why Dana is moving into slap fighting and trying to buy the BKFC. He knows people are sick of the ground game. Oh, is he trying to buy the? I didn't know that. He's trying to buy that, huh? I don't really like the bare knuckle stuff either. It's too barbaric. You know, it's like just going outside and watching a street fight. And then there was some fight league a couple years ago where they fight in a triangle. And then there's a fight league that Dewey Cooper's involved with where it's like teams fighting in some long type of rectangle ring. So I don't know. This stuff is getting stranger and stranger. I'll stick with the old school boxing over all this new stuff. Boxing is much better than MMA. Yeah, I feel the same way. That slap game is a disgrace. Yeah, I've watched that. I'm like, man, like I'm gonna sit there and let some dude slap me in the face. That's crazy. It's so stupid. It's unbelievable. Yeah, yeah. It's like they're out of ideas now. Hey, let's You stand there and let a 300-pound man slap you as hard as he can and see if you can take it. And they're probably not even getting paid that much. Like, dude, ain't no way I'm gonna sit there and let some dude load up and slap me in the face. He offered 200 million apparently. Oh wow. Wow, so he's pretty serious about it then. 200 million, man, that's a trip. Can you imagine calling the bank to hear what you have in your account? Your checking account has 200 million. Well, if he's offering 200 million, he's got way more than that. So what am I thinking? Your checking account has $1 billion. Oh, okay, cool. I guess we're eating out tonight, honey. Man, must be nice. Oh, oops. Must be nice. Jay Roos, you were speaking the truth. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's a lot of money, dude. I would flip out hearing that. He said Blueberry said Red Lobster tonight. Your boy in the bunker. What's up, man? But yeah, that's crazy, man. I would feel guilty making that much money and then seeing my fighters not even making close to that. How do you even explain that? What's your like if somebody corners him, meets him in the office one day, be like, dude, why are you making so much? And I'm like struggling. Well, look at it this way, I'm up 24/7 and I'm making the deals and negotiating and yeah, you are, but you're not getting physically injured. Yeah, that's true, but I mean, the work I put in is just okay. You just now it's a word salad. At least when people claim Don King was ripping them off, at least they were getting a couple million. So, man, if you're supposed to get 30 million and he gives you like 15 or 20, at least you still was getting broke off a nice amount. But Dana White is like, nope, I'll take that. Yeah, that's why Francis took off. I don't blame him. Do you think your boy in the bunker says, do you think Wardley and Frazier should rematch next or save it for further down the road for more money? They should probably wait a little bit just to because that fight was so brutal. The next fight with them could be career altering if they just have another brutal fight like that. And I have a feeling they won't go the distance the next time. That could be, fights like that, guys, are kind of rarely the same. So they should maybe have some soft touches, you know, kind of heal up and then go at it maybe like 4 or 5 fights down the road, build interest. Maybe they can both build up their winning streak. Wardley didn't like the 115 to 112 scorecard, he said too. The Blue Baron says, had to come to boxing to get paid. And get paid he did. And he probably could get some more checks if he'd stop making excuses. We don't want to hear the I was drugged in what's it, innuendo. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear about you were sleepy or you got to the arena late. And I'm trying to hear all that, Francis. I hope the UFC starts to fade now. I just don't think they will because they. I mean, when I look at their platforms on YouTube, they just seem to get a lot of views and a lot of traction. Look at the platform, the MMA Hour with Ariel, man. That dude gets so many. Well, he seems to be interviewing a lot of boxers now, so I don't know if he's trying to transition over. Might have to change the name of his channel from the MMA Hour. Do you think MMA will be extinct? No, I think they're here to stay. They just don't have anybody that stands out really other than John Jones. Is Don King still in boxing? Yeah, Don King is almost 90, still in boxing. I think he's working overseas mainly. Yeah, Don King and Bob Arum, man, they're like, I ain't going nowhere. Your boy in the bunker says, I agree. I'm off now to watch some TV before bed. Talk to you later. Oh, much respect. Thanks for coming through, man. Oh, yeah, you guys are, it's probably like 10 o'clock there. Yeah, thanks for coming through. Y'all go subscribe, like I said, to your boy in the bunker. Great platform. You'll find it entertaining and knowledgeable. So go subscribe to him. Emmanuel Broderick says, I think UFC is even growing in popularity. It probably is because Dana White knows how to market. And like I always say, I'm not the biggest Dana White guy, but he at least usually puts the best fighters against the best fighters. He don't usually give garbage fights. He knows how to get the people in the stand. So that's one thing I like about the UFC and Dana White. You know, but we'll see how they can compete with the PFL. I think the PFL bought out Bellator, so we'll see how all that works out. Don King would rob his. I actually like Don King, man. I think Don King gets a bit of a bad rap, man. Um, you know, I think Don King gets a little bit of a. He's almost like the Suge Knight of boxing. They grow, stories come out, and you're like, man, that's not true. It's like I know Suge Knight wasn't like a choir boy or anything, but I don't think he was quite as bad as everybody makes him out to be. And I think Don King, I don't think Don is as bad either. Could be wrong. Tim Witherspoon may say otherwise, and a couple other fighters, maybe even Larry Holmes, but you know, I just know certain people get a bad rap. But Don King used to put on some great cards. I'll give him that. Like I was saying on my live stream the other day, when Mike Tyson would fight, he knew there was a great chance the fight would be over in like a minute. So he'd have to put on great undercards to sell the fight. You might get Julian Jackson, Julio Cesar Chavez, and all them on the same card, and you're like, you got your money's worth, even if the Tyson fight lasted a minute or two. Don is a genius, knows how to market, and yeah, I wish I could meet him. Wish I could meet Dana White too and be like, dude, what's up, man? Why you making so much money, man? Get him out of here, security. I ain't leaving until you give me an answer, Mr. White. Man, it is hot today. It is hot today. Snow. Yeah, a little bit. It feels like it's about 80 degrees, man. But like I started off saying, the UK, the Ukraines, the Croatians, they're just making American heavyweight boxing just look almost non-existent. The only real heavyweight I see from America that I'm really liking is Richard Torres. So, no pressure, Richard. No pressure. Carry America on your back, man. Bring us back. The Blue Baron says that's one thing UFC has over boxing because Dana has full control over the sport. He can make the big fights. That's what I like. Yeah, that's what I like. Quan Big Guns, what's up to you, man? He says that was a crazy fight, Jay Roos. Yeah, that fight was crazy. I just, man, them dudes got some chins, especially Wardley. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's obviously got some strong will and legs. Because Clarke hit him with so many uppercuts. I was like, man, he was just walking into him at one point. I guess he just adapted to the power. Like, okay, I felt your best, and sometimes that can happen. You get hit with a hard shot, like maybe 2 or 3 times, and then it's like your body adapts to it. Like, oh, okay, I'm kind of stings, but I'm good. Whereas boxing, there's too many promoters. Yeah, there's way too many promoters. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren. Um, Golly, I'm just naming two. But yeah, there's too many. Those are the two that stand out. Bob Arum, Don King, which we don't hear that much from lately. Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins. What's his name over at the PBC? So yeah, too many divisions, too many promoters. Al Heyman, that's what I'm thinking of. Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of promoters. Yeah, that's what's funny about boxing. All these promoters, and up until last year, most of the fights we wanted to see weren't even getting made. It's like, don't you guys want to make the money? I never understood that. You don't make as much money unless you put the big fights on. Terry Harrell, what's up, man? Megatron versus Voltron. That was a monster fight they crept up. Megatron. Man, I used to love the to watch Voltron the Lion when I didn't like the car Voltron that much. Man, they don't make cartoons like that anymore. I remember a cartoon I was real little. It was like an Asian cartoon. It was like this big ship that normally would be in the water, but it was in space. I don't remember the name of it, but I was like, man, that cartoon was pretty special. The Blue Baron says, which belt do you think the most legit? It's the IBF for me. I say the WBC. I think the WBC has the most history. Usually the WBC champs have a stronger lineage, but IBF too, WBO not so much. That came around in the 90s. When the WBO first came out, people were like, nah, they didn't really count it. Quan Big Gun says, you think Wardley ready for a Dubois or Joyce? He's definitely ready for yeah, Dubois. I think the way he takes a punch, Joyce too. Yeah, that's a good question though. Special K. There's currently only one promoter, and his name is Turkey. Yeah, Turkey Alashish. Yeah, that dude, he ain't playing around. This I forgot about him, man. I don't know how I could forget him. This dude be making fights and seem like in 5 minutes. Like, I want to see this fight, make it happen. I'll pay you more than you've ever been paid. Get down here. I got your flight covered. Just get down here. It's like, okay. He's making tough fights, but they're getting paid well for it. They're getting paid well from what I understand. You should have watched Dragon Ball Z. That was brilliant, man. My friend in San Diego, Daryl, used to love Dragon Ball Z. I just couldn't get into it. Like Thundercats, I couldn't get into that either. For some, like seeing dudes walking around with tails, I was like, okay, that's gonna do it. Like I see a tail hanging from a dude, I'm like, nah. You remember Thundercats? You remember
No.
that? Thundercats, yeah, I couldn't get into that. Ben looks decent. Which Ben are you talking about? Not Connor Ben, right? You notice Connor Ben seems to be struggling since he came back. And by struggling, I mean not knocking people out like he used to. Clarke surprised me. He was better than I thought. I think he surprised 99.9% of us. He probably even surprised himself because he had never been tested that way. Oh, Ben Whitaker. Yeah, man. I like that guy. Um, Kind of like Boxing Wave was saying, though, he's kind of concerned about fighters that showboat a lot like that because you feel like at some point they're going to get caught. Because you've seen them highlight videos all on Instagram and YouTube where dudes clowning around and then, he looks this way and then pow, next thing he's asleep. So the more he moves up, he's going to have to kind of calm some of that down. But he looks like a tough guy. He looks like he can take a punch and give a punch. But all that clowning around is gonna have to. He's gonna have to wait at least until he knows for a fact that he's won the fight. When you've got the fight won, then you're free to play around. But when it's like round two and you don't know, that's kind of risky. Connor is struggling, but he's. Let's see that comment. Connor is struggling. Where'd that comment go? Connor is struggling now. He's not cycling. Yeah, that's. I remember Alistair Overeem when he got caught doing whatever he was doing, and he came back. He was never quite the same. He didn't even look the same physically. I wonder how much it costs Boxing Wave to go to a fight in London. Yeah, yeah, Boxing Wave is doing all right. Boxing Wave's like, I'm going to the UK. And that's not his first fight. He went to the what's that guy's name? Yard fight. Yeah, he was at the Yard fight too. That's one of his favorite fighters, Anthony Yard. But, yeah, must be nice to travel across the pond and watch the big boys go at it. The Blue Baron says, I gotta go to bed. Peace, big man. Hey, peace to you. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming through. I know you guys are way ahead of me over across the pond, so I appreciate the love. Appreciate it big time. So what's next for the heavyweight division? What's next? I know Dillian White is now promoting Wardley, and I forgot what's his name. Fraser Clarke had called out Dillian White, but after watching that fight, Dillian's probably like, nah, I think I'm okay, bro. I'm all right. But Fraser Clarke has nothing to be sorry about. I'm sure both guys feel like they could have done more in retrospect because nobody likes to get a draw. But, hey, the boxing fans won last night just watching that fight. I don't think people realize the will that it takes to get punched by a man over 200 pounds. Keep your composure and keep swinging. Even when you're hurt, you're bleeding, you're tired, you can hardly breathe through your nose if you're Wardley. I don't think people realize how hard that is to do. It's just not an easy thing to do. I think they just think, if somebody falls, they were weak or something. No, it's not. It's not about weakness. It's just they get tired, and it takes a surprise punch usually, and then somebody goes down. So shout out to both guys, Wardley and Clarke. Man, they both put on a great show. They made up for some of the lackluster undercards. Cause that Riley fight was trash. That fight was complete garbage, man. Should have been sponsored by Hefty Bags. It was so trash. Quan says, I'm still disappointed in White for getting stopped so easy versus Fury. He just wanted a paycheck. I told people that he was going to get stopped by an uppercut too. I think I was a round off. Yeah, he tried to blame it on having a bad training camp. He was just throwing like wild punches with no type of skill. I'm like, what are you doing, Dylan? People get their one or two big opportunities. You got to take advantage of them. He might not get another one, so you got to take advantage of them when they come. Emax boss in the building says Clarke shocked me. I never thought he would go the distance with Fabio. They gave us one of the best fights in 2024. A rematch will be greater. I think somebody's getting stopped in the rematch because once you've been in a war like that, it's like you can get mentally fatigued even before the fight, thinking, "Oh man, I gotta feel all that pain again." Like really. And then the first hard punch you get, you're like, you know what? I'm not really up for this tonight. So that canvas is looking mighty cozy. Can somebody give me a spread and a pillow? I might lay down for a bit. But when they go back and watch that fight, they're gonna be like, man, I took some punishment. Defense is not very great in this generation of the heavyweight division. I'm noticing defense is not all that great. And that's why I think Tim Witherspoon would make such a great trainer, teaching the Philly shell and how to defend yourself and, stand your ground at the same time. See, Tim Witherspoon, he didn't get hit that much. And he had great defense, and he wasn't backing up and running and doing all that. He was standing right there in the pocket in exchange while blocking punches. He was great at that. Your career lasts a lot longer if you're not getting hit all the time. I think Joe Joyce is going to find that out. And if Joyce gets knocked out in his next fight, yeah, I think we're seeing the effects of an accumulation of headshots. And that's not good. That is not good at all. Thunder's Productions in the building. What's up, Thunder's Productions? What's going on, man? We're just talking about that great fight we had yesterday with Frazier Clarke and Fabio Wardley. Fabio, man, that dude, his face was. That's funny how we had two bloody fights back to back, the Tim Tszyu fight and then this one. Yo, I had Fabio just barely winning it. Same here. I had him squeaking by like a round or two. But I wasn't mad at it going to a draw because you kind of hate to see either guy lose when both guys put in such an effort. It's a shame anybody has to lose in those type of fights. So I was cool with a draw, but like I said on my card, I kind of had Wardley edging it out just a little bit. Maybe either both men fought like champs. Yeah, man. Like I was saying before you got on here, I think Frazier Clarke is one of those guys that fights to the level of his competition. That's why we'd never seen that side of him. So it was hard to pick him to win because we didn't know that he could do that. But now that we see it, it's like, okay, he's one of these guys. Like if he's fighting a guy that's C level, he's gonna fight C level. If he's fighting a guy B level, you know the rest. So I've seen fighters like that. They could fight, look kind of so one night, and then they fight a champion, and then they shine. So yeah, I'm putting him in that category. He fights to the level of his competition, and he had that big amateur background to kind of help him last night. And his face looked pretty unscathed at the end of the fight, as opposed to Wardley's. But them dudes were taking some punches, man. That was a real life Rocky movie last night. A real life Rocky movie. I had to have the sound down because I was live streaming, but I can imagine that crowd was on level 10, the volume. I'm gonna have to see the replay and hear the crowd. So I know they were losing their minds, probably spilling their drinks and everything. Four white collar fights and 17 fights undefeated. Let me see. Says four white collar fights and 17 fights undefeated. with a draw. Fabio was born to do this. So he only had 4 white collar fights. Are you serious? So wow, yeah, certain guys that's why I tell people you can't put everybody in the same category. Because Lennox Lewis used to really place an importance on having an extensive amateur career. Everybody don't need that. That's the path he took. That's what he did, but that's not the path everybody needs. Joshua didn't even fight that long as an amateur. So, everybody's different. Just like I say with Mike Tyson, his 57 isn't everybody's 57. There's some 20-year-olds that, can't do 10 push ups. Then there's some 20-year-olds that can do 100 push ups. So, I don't know. People like to categorize people and put everybody in the same category and make us all cookie cutter. Entire fight was a highlight. Yeah, for real. Yeah, it'd be hard to shout out to you, Terry Harrell. You're right. It'd be hard to take just a segment or segments from the fight and make a highlight reel because the whole fight was a highlight reel. Absolutely, absolutely. And these fights like this are so good because neither guy was very big on defense. So when you get two guys in the ring that kind of just get hit that much and they got good chins, it's going to be a great fight generally. Like I said, I put it right up there with the Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield trilogy. That's how great of a fight that was. And the UK is making the US look bad right now. Croatia's making us look bad. The Ukraine fighters are making us look bad. Everybody's tough except a big bad US of A. What's going on? It's like we like to look tough in movies, Boys in the Hood and all that, and then when it's time to scrap, we're like, no, okay, I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna go party and smoke weed. Brothers, like Stephen A. Smith says, put the weed down. McCall and Hasim Rockman had little to no amateur bouts, and KO Lennox. Yeah, I forgot about. I didn't know about McCall's amateur background, but yeah, Hasim didn't have much of an amateur background either. So, you know what? Fun fact: I'm like you guys know, Lennox Lewis was my favorite fighter, but Hasim Rockman knocking out Lennox Lewis motivated me to box because I was like, wow, he didn't have much experience and he did that. So I started boxing, I was like, it kind of motivated me in a strange way. It's like, man, see, you don't have to take the clichéist path to the top. You can do it your own way. I don't think either of those two fighters will be a serious threat to the division. I don't know about that one. I think definitely Wardley will be. I think Wardley's a threat because he's real fast and he's durable. You get a guy with a chin like that, he's almost like a 2024 version chin wise of a young Evander Holyfield. Oliver McCall is one of the best chins. Yeah, McCall was that dude's chin was crazy. That dude had his hands down in the rematch with Lewis, getting hit and still wasn't going down. In fact, remember they say he dropped Mike Tyson in sparring. If Oliver McCall didn't have all his outside the ring issues, I think he could have been a pretty tough champion. You know, he was from Chicago. Them Chicago dudes are tough, man. Chicago, Mr. T's from Chicago. My dad's from Chicago, so yeah, you know the stories about Chicago. They different, but yeah, Oliver McCall, man. Maybe I'm gonna try to. Let me see if I can ever get it. I might get Oliver McCall on the show. I'm gonna try to interview him. But the video I did about Ika Beabuchi saying he would stop Zhang and Joe Joyce. A lot of people mad at Ike. It's like once you reach a certain age or you make a mistake, people don't want to give you a second chance. It's like, come on, man, he made some mistakes. Like, what's he supposed to do? Just go dig ditches? He has to live the rest of his life. Wardley will be a threat. The heart to fight with your noses busted and leaking. It was tough to watch, and he was still swinging. Yeah, that's why I think he'll be tough too, because that heart, that's something you can't teach heart. Your experiences and all that can help shape your heart, but that heart is a champion's heart, man. And you could see it on his face when he would get hit. It's like he would wake up like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing, and then he'd start going buck wild. So, yeah, I like Wardley. I think I'm gonna watch any fight he has next, pay per view and all. Do they have great chins, or are neither of them serious punchers? Not trying to dilute their performance, but it's a serious question. I don't know if Frazier Clarke is that big of a puncher, but I think Wardley can thump. Look what he did to Adelaide, and most of it he'd only had one fight that wasn't a knockout before that. And I know, starting out a lot of times your record is like that, but yeah, judging by the way he throws his punches, I know some of them can be wild. He looks like he can punch. He looks like I don't know if he's a one punch guy like a David Tua or something like that, but I think if he puts the right combo together like a Andy Ruiz, I think we got something. I think we got something. And you're not going to get a boring fight with Wardley, so it's easy to market. He's a good looking guy. He's funny. He's not going to say anything too crazy at a press conference like Big Baby Miller. So he's easy to market. That would actually be an interesting fight. Wardley against Big Baby Miller. That would be a lot of action. But our heavyweights over here seem to be having all types of trouble outside the rings. Like, dude, what's going on? It's like dudes in extracurricular activities. It's like, man, focus on your career. Focus on your career. It's a tough sport. It's a blood sport, as you saw Saturday night and you saw Sunday night. It's a blood sport. Shout out to Van Dam. It's a blood sport. So you either hit it 100% or get out. Don't straddle the fence. Miller needs to get in better shape. I think he's working with Antonio Tarver now, and yeah, I think he's trying to drop some of that weight. And I found out, I think the reason he was so heavy before was because the PED that he was on would take some of that weight or fat or whatever it was and burn it for fuel. That's why the more the fight went on, he seemed to be picking up energy because he was such a high weight, so he'd have plenty of fuel to burn. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, he doesn't quite look the same physically either, since because he was 300 pounds, but looked like he was in good shape. Thunder's Productions, do you think it's most for heavyweight fighters to do long amateur boxing smart, or it's gonna ruin them before they hit their pros? Yeah, I don't think it's that necessary to have like Lomachenko and them dudes be or Bivol like 300 amateur fights. Like, I don't think that's really necessary. That's a lot of wear and tear. I mean, just think of how many blows they've taken from amateur to pro. Like I said, my buddy growing up, Daryl, he started as a lot of us playing football like 8 years old. By the time it was, his time came to go to college and potentially turn pro, he was already burnt out by then. So, and that's what Jared Anderson is facing right now. He's burned out because he started too young, I guess. It's just a lot of wear and tear mentally too. Did you see Tarver on Hot Boxing with Mike? He said he used to be a. Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday. I was like, man, I never knew Tarver was on crack. Like, wow, talk about a comeback. Went from crack to champion to Rocky Balboa. Like, man, that's one of my favorite movies too. Rocky Balboa, man. If you need a pick me up, you feeling down, unmotivated to train, watch Rocky Balboa. That's an underrated movie. Remember after Rocky fought Drago, he said he felt like something inside him was broken. Wardley gave me that same vibe in the post fight interview. Wow. Wow, that's deep, man. Yeah, like something was broken inside. Yeah, that was in Rocky Five. Yeah, and it's yo, Adrian, I can't stop my hands from shaking. The post-fight interview, not sure if he'll be the same after that fight. Yeah, that's the thing about having a war like that. You know, that's why I think they ought to have some soft touches for a while, recover, heal up, and yeah, because those fights are damaging. What did Rocky say in Creed 2 when he's talking to Donnie? He said he broke things that ain't never been fixed. It was like, wow. He didn't go into detail, but it sounded serious. When you think about how little pounds it takes to knock out somebody, it's amazing when you think dudes are getting hit with way harder pounds of pressure than that and still standing on their feet. That shows the power of the mind. That shows how your mind can withstand things that science can't explain, but people like to put all their trust in science, man made equations and all this foolishness. You can't never count out the heart of a man, ever, 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 ever. We've seen it over and over, but people have short memories. That's why they were shocked when George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore. What? A 44-year-old knocked out a 26-year-old? Okay, like what? Mike Rashid was in his 40s when he had his first professional fight and beat a dude, I think it was in his 20s, 30 tops. So you see it over and over, but people keep forgetting. Sheep, sheeple. Ah. But yeah, y'all talking about Rocky makes me want to go watch some Rocky all the way through to Creed 3. Wonder how many hours that would be. I remember I tried to watch all the prequel Star Wars uh through the new ones, and I think I forget how far I got. Then some chick called me and wanted to hang out, so I was like, "Oh, done with Star Wars." That kind of ended that. One thing that's for certain, both men will be able to retire. Shout out to you, Special K. Thanks for coming into the live stream. One thing that's for certain, both men will be able to retire comfortably after the rematch. Yeah, I wonder what they got paid yesterday too. Looked like a good sized crowd. It's just amazing the shift in boxing. People used to take the British fighters for jokes back in the 80s and 90s till Lennox Lewis came along and changed that. It's a bee right outside my window. No, you're not gonna come in and sting me, Mr. B. B. Mickey said to Rocky, he's gonna hurt you permanent in Rocky 2. Poignant, poignant. Jab that bag till it hoits 500 times without stopping. Man, those Rocky movies, man, those are so great. They were talking about doing a Rocky prequel for like on streaming. I was like, don't mess with, just leave it alone. You don't want to do anything to taint the Rocky movies. Those movies are so, the little lines in the movies, man. Rocky can make you cry, make you laugh. It's got a lot of funny lines. It's just Rocky's just man. I know pretty much every movie. I could probably quote every line from start to end, all six movies. Y'all check out Tulsa King on Paramount Plus with Stallone. I can't wait for season 2 hardly. Nobody can do Rocky like Sylvester. Oh yeah, man, he is Rocky. Can you imagine if the studio had gotten their wish and had like Paul Newman and them play Rocky, man, it would have been one movie and done. They would have never had all those sequels. But Stallone insisted. He turned down all kind of money when he was broke. He's like, I have to play Rocky, and it worked. You know, sometimes using a well-known actor too can mess up the movie, like because you've seen him in so many other things. It's hard to buy him as a boxer or something. Like that was what I liked about Straight Outta Compton. They got some, pretty much unknown actors, and it wouldn't have been so great if you had like, you know, I don't know, some well known actor that you've seen trying to play Ice Cube or something. Be like, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Special K. That's crazy. I've done videos on that. Unfortunately, Stallone doesn't own the rights to control anything to do with Rocky. That's insane when I found that out. And he was pretty upset about it too. He was real upset about that. He wanted to leave it for his family. He said Stallone uh, really suited his role in Tulsa King. Oh yeah, Stallone was great in that. I might go back and rewatch it. Still in great shape too. But yeah, that's insane how you write a movie, you direct some of them, you play in it, you put your heart into the movie, and then someone else is like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna take that from you, and I'm gonna have my family eat off of it, and you can just watch. That's crazy. I don't know how people can live with themselves to do that to somebody else. And from what I know, Erwin Winkler and him used to be cool, so I don't know what happened. America stopped producing good heavyweights in the late '90s. Too much luxurious living, man. That seems to make cowards of men. You know, certain fighters can do it. Certain fighters can live well and still perform. People like Lennox Lewis, Floyd Mayweather, they can make all the money and still be find that discipline that it takes to get up in the morning and work out. A lot of guys make that first check and they're like, nah, where the Twinkies at, homie? Terry Harlow, either way, the UK and the Saudis are winning right now. Oh, yeah, winning indeed. And us fans are winning too because we get to watch it. And then in the UK, they have heavyweights grow on trees. I'm trying to read the rest of the comment. So it's a lot of big guys over in the UK, huh? I know Dean White, Dillion's brother, is a big unit, as y'all say. And in the UK, they have heavyweights grow on trees. They have a new contender every month. Speaking of the contender, I wish they would bring that show back. One of my favorite shows of all time. That was just a great show. Great show. Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard on their season one next week on the contender. Man. Then they'd have that little bell go off when the guy loses and he's walking through the hall. It sounded so sad and final. That show was so well put together. And it did great in the ratings. I think we all know why shows like that are no longer in existence. Teddy Ted is just touchdown, y'all. What's up, Teddy? uh, is that Errol? Shout out to you, man. Says I remember that show, The Contender. Great show. The intro music was epic. Yeah, I like that, man. It's from the same with Mark Brunette that put together The Apprentice. Man. I really like the Celebrity Apprentice too, man. You're fired. Yeah, that was the contender, man. I think I watched the whole season a couple years ago on YouTube. Season one, and I think season five with Andre Ward was on Amazon. Thunder's production says Americans want to play football and basketball. Team sports is real big over here. They go into basketball, football, baseball. Um, yeah, because it's more televised. not fight like before heavyweights. Yeah, they go into these other sports and yeah, there's a lot of guys in the NFL and perhaps the NBA that would have made great heavyweights. I think a large portion of the blame for the lack of American heavyweights lay at the feet of American promoters and broadcasters. It simply got too expensive to follow boxing. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, that makes sense. Emmanuel Broderick says punched a boxing machine today and got 882. It was almost 900. Wow. Wow, man, you might have to lace him up and get in there yourself, Chief. That's quite a punch. That's quite a punch. Whatever he heats, eat the stories. Ya señor Bañero. Ya Sibia. Ya Sibia. Rocky Four. That's Mr. Bruck shot today. That's right. Let him know what it is. Quan Big Gun says, "Do you think we will ever see a fighter like Jones move all the way up to heavy and win? Could Terrence Crawford do it? Canelo tried but lost at light heavy, so we know Canelo couldn't do it." That's interesting you say that because I saw a tweet that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence put out today. When Errol Spence wanted to fight Fundora, Terrence Crawford tweeted something like, "Wait in line, Chief, like I'm next." And Errol Spence said, "Dude, you looking like a linebacker right now." Because, Terrence Crawford is like 180. And yeah, Terrence Crawford looks every bit like he can handle Canelo at 168. And the dude's strong. He's physically strong. I think Terrence Crawford is like one of the best fighters in the history of the sport, man. I'm a big Terrence Crawford guy. That dude is mentally tough, physically tough. Yeah, if anybody could do it, man, he could do it. I ain't never going against Terrence Crawford. If he wants to go to heavy, I'm riding with Terrence Crawford. I didn't know Andre Ward was on the contender. I only saw season one. Yeah, he's on season five, the one with Shane Mosley's son. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I know my friend, um, I say my friend, I can't even think of his name. Tommy Brooks, who trained Mike Tyson in Holyfield, he was on, was it that season? He was on one of the seasons, I think, in what country? It was in an Asian country because he called me when he was flying over there and he said how beautiful everything was. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more touching down. What's up, Jay Roos Theory? What's up to you, man? We're just talking about the aftermath of the Wardley Clarke fight and talking a little Rocky Balboa and all that stuff. Clarke surprised everyone, huh? Yeah, Clarke, man, that dude. I like his little sneaky uppercut, man. I think if he had really dipped down and put his weight into it like a Mike Tyson, I think he might have dropped Wardley at some point. But yeah, neither dude has nothing to be ashamed about. They put on a great show that I don't think anybody's gonna forget. Brucey B, Gas, Gas in the house. Yeah, Bruce Gas. Bruce Gas is in the building, y'all. It'll be easy for them to sell a rematch, even down the road. If both these guys keep winning, it'll be easy to sell a rematch based off that fight. I mean, like after Riddick Bowe Holyfield won, I mean, it was almost a no brainer. You're gonna watch the second fight. Remember the parachute guy that came into the or tried to come into the ring? That was crazy. Seemed like any fight Riddick Bowe was in, something crazy would happen. I think it was Elijah Tillery where he started kicking, and then we had the two below the belt fights with Galata, then the riot in New York fighting Galata. Riddick Bowe was always he almost got in a fight with Lennox Lewis after the fight, after the Holyfield won. Strange things seem to follow Riddick Bowe fights. If you watch Riddick fight, you were in for a treat. Shout out to Riddick Bowe. You had a full house listening to you yesterday. Yeah, man, I'm looking at my views today. I'm like, what happened to the 1,000? They got me at like 400. I'm like, YouTube, y'all better stop playing with my numbers. Everybody in here saw the 1,000 some. Like, nah, YouTube, break yourself, YouTube. Boxing isn't about if you lose, but rather how you lose. That is why guys like Chisora is still cashing checks. Absolutely. You know, when Chisora gets in the ring, he's just going to, let it all fly. Chisora's not, he don't care if he wins, loses, but he's going to give his best. And Chisora ain't taking no dive. He just likes to scrap. I think if Chisora couldn't get a boxing match in the ring, he'd just go outside to a bar and start a fight. You think Garcia gets replaced with I think the fight I think it's gonna happen. I think it'll still happen. He said Big Daddy, yeah, Riddick Big Daddy Bo. Fun fact, before he was nicknamed Riddick Big Daddy Bo, his nickname was Sugar Bear. It's like, wow, glad he changed it to Big Daddy. Riddick Sugar Bear doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Riddick Sugar Bear Bo. No. Try again, homie. But them wars with Galata, they were too much. They were too much, man. I remember Riddick Bowe had the kitchen built into his bedroom too. Chisora's the only man Francis Ngannou, I think you're just gonna say, could beat. Yeah, I'd watch it. Bruce Guest says I met Bo a couple of years ago. Nice guy and funny. Yeah, Riddick is hilarious, man. I saw him on Rampage Jackson's podcast, and he was cracking jokes constantly, man. He brought his pastor along. So it was good to see that Riddick Bowe's hanging with a pastor now. I don't think he and Rock Newman are on good terms anymore, though. I would have rocked with Sugar Bear. That's a good name. Nah, I can't mess with Sugar Bear. Nah. That sounds kind of soft. Hey, I'm Sugar Bear Riddick. I'm Riddick Sugar Bear Bowe. Only Suge Knight can get away with the Suge. Should be fighting. I'll be working on getting Bo. Oh man, that would be huge, man. Yeah, you get Riddick Bowe on, man. That'd be great. I follow him on Instagram. And David Tua. I'm gonna try to get David Tua, Ray Mercer. Um, I was just around Tyrell Biggs and Xavier Biggs at the gym out here in Atlanta. Or theirs is in Decatur. But yeah, that'd be big, man. You get Riddick Big Daddy Bowe on the show. Riddick's my second favorite. Let's see. Riddick, my second favorite to Mike, and third Rockman and Ali. Hasim Rockman? That's an interesting choice. Why? Let me guess. Because he knocked out Lennox Lewis. Let me guess, Mr. Teddy Ted. Rockman, Hasim Rockman, the dude that got knocked out the ring by, what's his name, Oleg Moskayev or something like that. That Hasim Rockman, the one that got decapitated nearly by Lennox Lewis in the rematch, got up, fell back down, leaking blood. That Hasim Rockman, the one that didn't want to be with Lennox Lewis on the same set after they had that little fight on the ESPN set. Lewis chased him down and he didn't want to be in the same room because he knew Lewis would put hands on him. That Hasim Rockman. Parker just called out White for a rematch. Did he? I'd watch that. Counterpunch boxing news in the building. What's up? Shout out to Kurt. Says J Rules. What's up, Kurt? Kurt's in the building. You already know, go subscribe to Kurt. You know, he's going to tell you all the news. He's gonna let you know what's going down, and he knows the sport. That's the thing I like about him. He knows what he's talking about. He's not one of these channels talking about yeah man, Ngannou was sleepy, so you got to show him some love. Nah, you're not gonna hear that with Kurt. Shout out to the big dog, Counterpunch Boxing News. Teddy says, I love me some Rockman. You love Hasim Rockman. He and Lennox are cool. You know what's funny though? I was saying Hasim Rockman's son said his favorite fighter is Lennox Lewis. I was wondering how that made Hasim feel. Oliver McCall, my fifth now, if you don't stop. He said Oliver McCall's my fifth. I always like Lewis, man. I just like that calm demeanor, that Drago, where people just feel your presence. Kurt DeVille is in the house, y'all. KD, he's in the building. Yeah, man. That's like I watch Kurt every day, man, every day, and it's just certain channels you just go to, like, oh, let me see if they put anything out, you know. Wow, Star Wars flashback. Sorry about that. Teddy says you can't help but watch Kurt Manuka drop 4 videos a day. Kurt is like one of the hardest working men in the sport, man. Kurt's work ethic is up here. Kurt does not play around. Kurt makes everybody step their game up. And he's funny too. You hear his man, the way he does Andy Ruiz, Bob Arum, and Floyd Mayweather. He said, "I'm just playing Kurt." Man, his impersonations are hilarious. Like the way Andy Ruiz kind of sings his words, and he talks like that, and he sings his words like, "Hey, Paco," like, "Hey, Holmes, bet out that way, Holmes, bet out that way, eh? Yeah, man." Special K dropped a link. Okay. Bro, when you said that, my girlfriend gave me the BS face. Yeah, man. Me and Kurt, we're gonna have to do a show together, man. This dude's hilarious, man. We're gonna have to do a show, eh? Yeah, I grew up with a lot of Mexicans, and they seem to sing their words like, "Shut up, man! Shut up, fool! Shut up, eh?" I got a lot of Mexicans in my family, matter of fact. Special Case says, Thunder's Production says, "What's up to Kurt? KD, baby." Special Case says, Watch that link. It shows Parker calling out Dillian White. Calling out Dillian while lip syncing. I want you back for good. Oh, for real? Yeah, Dillian White is a funny dude. Like I said, it's good to have Dillian back. I don't know how many more fights he's got in him, but his mouthpiece is epic. The dude is hilarious. That's why I say a Dillian White, Big Baby Miller press conference would be so funny. You might have to put the press conference on pay-per-view. It would be like trash talk city. And it's gonna come down to somebody trying to swing at each other. Somebody's gonna go too far with a joke. Like, oh, you just went one joke too far, buddy. Here comes the overhand right. Remember Riddick Bowe when he stole on Larry Donald at the press conference? Riddick Bowe turned around and just went, what did he say? He was like, I forget, but he just hit Donald with a two piece. And then when they had the actual fight, Donald seemed like he was scared of Riddick. This dude backed up the whole fight. And I remember George Foreman it was like a one sided fight for Riddick Bowe. And George Foreman was like, Larry Donald could still win this fight. And Larry Merchant was like, how so, George? Like, can't wait to hear this one. Like Larry was like, ain't no way that Larry Donald is beating Riddick Bowe. He's like, how so, George? Spit it out, big homie. What you got to say now, George? But, George Foreman used to do that a lot. He liked to be fair and balanced. So he would compliment both sides equally. He didn't want to give one guy too many compliments without complimenting the other guy. Shout out to George Foreman. Like I said, I knew his daughters, Frida Foreman and me, knew each other pretty good. We used to talk on the phone. Teddy Bruckshot says, so if Fury dodges Usyk, AJ's the mandatory, and it's his best chances of beating Usyk now, especially considering he's fighting more like a heavyweight under Davison. Yeah, man. Yeah, I favor AJ in the rematch. Davison's Davison's like a modern day Customato. This dude understands the psychology of a fighter. He's the one that cracked the code on how to get AJ fighting like the size he is. When you're that big, what are you timid about? Just go on there, wreck shop, and call it a day. Like Lewis said, you don't get paid for overtime, so go in there, handle your business, and be like, two fingers. It is what it is. I like this AJ. I call AJ 2.0. I think he's like the old AJ but more dangerous because he just has a different look in his face, man. He gave that look to Wilder at the day of reckoning when Wilder stuck out his hand like this. Joshua was looking at him like, really, Chief? Like, he was talking all that stuff. What's up now? And Deontay's like, hey. And then the minute Deontay leaves, he starts talking about Joshua. Like, dude, he was right there. You could have told him everything that you telling this reporter. So, when Wilder used to say all that stuff about he wanted to catch a body and all that, a lot of that stuff is projection. The dudes that talk the most is like they're trying to hide some type of insecurity. Usually, they're not as tough as they appear. So when you start saying you want to catch a body and all that, that's like it's like when Teddy Atlas was talking about some of the stuff Mike Tyson was saying. Teddy was like, dude, that line was from Superman. Like, this dude's taking lines from movies and y'all believing it. Thunder's production says old AJ had no defense. Like, he used his offense as defense. Now he's more technical. I noticed that too, especially in that fight with Dillian White. Yeah. I was saying earlier, a lot of these modern day heavyweights, their defense is pretty bad, almost non-existent. Lennox Lewis used to say the first thing you need to learn when you get into boxing is defense, and that's smart because you don't want to get punished. You don't want to get brain damage doing something you love. But if Usyk fights AJ after beating Fury and warms up, it's over for AJ again. I don't know. I don't know, man. I would just attack Usyk's body and be done with it. We see that his body is his weak point. You remember the Death Star in Star Wars? It was so destructive, could blow up a planet, but it had that one little opening that you shoot through, and the whole thing blows up. So Usyk's got his weakness. You just have to keep going down there. You can't just hit him with a body blow and then abandon it. And if the referee tries to say it's low, then knock out the referee. No, I'm just. I didn't like that ref during the Clarke Wardley fight. It seemed like he was giving unnecessary warnings, and I didn't even know what he was warning fighters about. Then he took a point from Clarke for. I was like, did you even warn him before you took a point, homie? Like, it's good. A lot of these British referees stop fights too soon. I'm glad this ref didn't do that. And it was a ref I saw too in an earlier fight that he didn't stop it too soon. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Yo, I'm gonna go see you later, Jay Roos and Chats. Peace. Hey, thanks for coming in, man. Thunders Productions. I appreciate the love. Yeah, I'm probably about to get out of here too. I've been running my water hole for a minute now. And man. Rocking my Rick Drayson shirt. He's the one that created the Gold's Gym logo. I was kind of friends with him. Talked to him a couple times through text message. Rick Drayson. He was the show The Incredible Hulk. He was the Middle Hulk. He was Arnold Schwarzenegger's training buddy. Came up with the Gold's Gym logo, drew it on a napkin. He would even draw you one personally so you could frame it. Rick Drayson, man. Teddy says, I think he just wanted to end the fight early in the Dubois fight. You said it, you don't get paid for overtime. Yeah. Right, man. Yeah, you don't get paid for overtime. If you could end it fast, end it fast. So people think his body is softer than it is. Oh, shoot. Counterpunch boxing news coming in with 20. Oh, shoot. Shout out to Kurt putting in that work. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Hey, man. Hey, I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that night. I said that night. I really appreciate that. Yeah, man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. He says, Jay Roos, keep this going. Hey, man. Shout out to you, man. Much appreciation. Kurt, man, he's a real humble guy, man. Got a big channel, man. He could have, been like, hey, kick rocks. But nah, man, it's not too many genuine people like that in the world, man, for real. So shout out, much love to my dude, Kurt KD. Go subscribe to Counterpunch Boxing News. Go subscribe. Man, that was so nice of you, bro. So nice of you. Yeah, Kurt spreading the love, man. For real. That was so cool, man. Yeah, I started my channel way back in, would you believe, 2000, July of 2017, man. So I've been at this for a while. I'm like, man, it is hard to get subscribers on this joint. I think I should have started going live way sooner, man. I took forever. I'm just starting to go live like recently. I should have been going live and, live streaming fights. That's how you grow your channel faster. I took the scenic route. I wanted to check out the trees and the canyons. Like, yeah, look at that grass over there. Teddy says, love to see that. Yeah, man. Real humble guy, man. Like I said, funny as all get out too. That's the thing. Like, we love boxing, but we don't take it so seriously that we can't laugh at the sport or find the comedy and things. People, some channels take it like they just be ready to you know, just ready to jump off the ledge. Like, man, it's our sport. Yeah, brotherly love, man, for sure. Teddy Bruckshot says brotherly love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, shout out to Chris Jones from Pump Chasers, man. He just had a birthday, March 31st. So shout out to Chris Jones. Chris Jones be showing me love too. So shout out to Chris Jones. Everybody that's showing me love. Gene Deal. Y'all know Gene Deal. Famous bodyguard. Gene Deal. Boxing Wave. Mr. Boxing Today too. All the other platforms that show love. Andrew Tucker World, of course. Boxing on the Edge. DT3, The Bone Man. Tony's Reviews. Your boy in the bunker who just started a platform. So it's some OG platforms out there that I really like, and there's some new ones just starting that I see that I'm starting to like. And there's a lot of ones starting all this stuff about kind of these channels that trying to build their platforms off controversy, like was Ngannou drugged? Did Ngannou fix the fight? Was Eddie Hearn in on it? No, stop. Stop it. This is not WWE. The dude got knocked out. You could hear the punch when it landed. You could see he was clearly out. He was not drugged. If you're drugged, you're not going to have all that energy. Ngannou was bouncing around. He was moving. He was twitching. He wasn't coming out sluggish, looking half asleep. So he's moving around. Only time he looked out of it is when he got clocked. And he had his wits enough about him too when he got up from that second knockdown when the referee asked him was okay, and his lip was hanging. He was looking like I'm ready to go, but he had his wits enough about him to nod his head yeah and say yeah. So I'm not trying to hear that, Mr. Excuses and Ngannou. I'm not trying to hear it at all, man. We don't roll like that in boxing. You should ask Deontay Wilder how that worked out for him. The public didn't like it, and he kind of burned a lot of bridges with all them excuses, man. Like I said, even if you think it, you don't have to say it, You don't have to say everything that pops into your head. And if you're going to say it, do it later on. Oh, shoot. Counterpunch comes in again. Wow. $10. He said, let's get J. Roos another hat. Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Got to get another hat to add to the collection. I got all my Jamaican hats that I used to wear when I had the dreads for 19 years. I was like, man, I gotta buy some baseball hats when I cut my dreads off. Yeah, man. Hey, man. Shout out to Kurt, man. Kurt is opening the wallet, man. Appreciate the love, bro. He's showing some love. Wow, man. Wow, 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 man. I really appreciate that. The YouTube journey has been interesting. It's been very interesting, man. Yeah, I just really appreciate it. Everyone that's had my back, motivating me and encouraging me. I appreciate it all. The comments, the small channels, the big channels. I appreciate all of it because nobody has to do anything if they don't want. Nobody has to comment. Nobody has to watch your videos. So the fact that people take time out to even comment, even if they don't agree with me, the fact that they took time out of their day to spend some time typing like this or like this on their phone, hey, whether they're keyboard warriors or cell phone gorillas, you know, hey, they took time out to watch. So, hey, you got to show them love. But man, that dog's going crazy out there. Man. Man, it's hot in It's getting hot in here, I tell you. H2O break, y'all. By the way, does anybody know? I saw it, but I don't remember. How old is Fraser Clarke? Because someone had mentioned that in the chats the other day. They were like, how, because they were talking about how long he spent in the amateurs. And I was wondering myself how old he is. He doesn't look old or anything. I just was curious what his age is. And that's probably the best shape I've seen him in was his fight yesterday with Wardley. But them dudes got some chins, especially Wardley, man. He got that 1990s Evander Holyfield chin. So yeah, he got that throwback chin. See, you can market a guy like that can take a punch, throw a punch, and he and Clarke are good looking guys, so they're easy to market. So I think they have bright futures ahead of them. How you doing? I'm doing okay. What's your name, baby? What's your name, baby? No, I'm sure. I used to see dudes talk to girls like they was angry at them. Come here, like they didn't have no choice. They would, and the girls would actually go over there like, "Oh, okay. Oh, he's a thug. Oh, hi." Like, really? I think Tupac got these girls interested in the thug life, baby. What's your name, baby? I'm sure that doesn't work much in certain sectors of society, but certain sectors it does work. What's your name, baby?
Shut up.
But I guess I'm gonna get off of here. Still got a workout for the day, and then find something to grub on, And shout out to everybody that came through. Of course, Kurt Counterpunch Boxing News dropping the dough on Jay Roos. He was just like, hey, here, take this with you. Buy yourself a little something. Appreciate the love, Kurt. Appreciate everybody that came through. And go watch my latest videos I did about Ike Abeabuchi, the president. And I did one on Jake Paul speeding up the footage so we can look fast. Stop counting us 50-year-olds out. Knock you 20-year-olds senseless. Believe that. LSR forever. Remember, Yahweh, Yeshua reigns supreme. Be fearless. Yay.